Okay, so I was checking the request thing today, and I saw in the Halo request line that we had the Siege of the Inner Colonies as requested by Tumble. This was made by Installation00, and of course, any time that I watch anything slightly Halo related, I have to have Archo.
Hello.
And, joining us today as well is Warpsmith.
Hello there.
So we're going to be checking this out, and, I have been looking forward to getting some lore on specific things that are related to Halo, but outside the scope of the games, and like other like large media. I'm a big universe guy, and anything that I actually like to pay attention to. So this is going to get some insight that I didn't currently have. In any case, Archo, are you ready?
Yes.
Warsmith?
Of course.
Let's get into it. Here we go.
The period between the implementation of the Cole Protocol and the end of the war is often referred to as the Siege of the Inner Colonies.
I have selected the wrong mood lighting second. I'm going to make it purple for the Covenant. There we go. Yay. Okay.
Yay.
There we go.
For humanity, this was a time of silent dread, frequently punctuated by the Covenant's ruthless eradication of a colony. Although human worlds were not being destroyed at a pace that they had been earlier in the war, there was still little to stop the Covenant's steady advance through human territory.
That's always a bad sign.
I feel like it'll affect the trout population.
Yes. The what population? The trout population?
Yes, it's a popular meme in some circles.
Oh, God.
I mean, knowing trout, the Covenant will probably keep them as game fish as well.
I really like that intro.
Indeed.
I need to revamp my
Hey
intro
everyone,
so bad.
welcome back to Installation00 and this episode 11 of the Mythos, where I narrate each entry in the Mythos book into their own dedicated videos. Today we continue with the Siege of the Inner Colonies. Although there were a handful of victories for humanity during the Siege of the Inner Colonies, these were only minor setbacks in the Covenant's campaign. Propaganda and willful ignorance kept the innermost colonies, and in particular the Sol system, detached from the actual horrors taking place. But for those who grasped the scale of the threat, the extinction of mankind seemed to be guaranteed.
So basically they did what any other government would do in a time of crisis and lied to the population.
Oh yeah. Oni had like a whole department just dedicated to propaganda, where they would take war footage and war photography, and they would edit it to make the fights seem a lot fairer than they actually were.
How exactly do you edit a stomping into something other than it actually is?
You just Photoshop a few more squads of Marines into the background with the weapons firing. You decrease the size of an explosion by just dimming the contrast. I'm not a photograph expert.
Okay, continuing.
On July 17th, 2552, Covenant scouting vessels struck the lush jungle colony of Sigma Octanus IV. Only a single human ship, the UNSC Iroquois, survived the initial attack.
Lovely.
It was here that Commander Jacob Keyes displayed his naval skills by conducting one of the most impressive tactical maneuvers in UNSC history. The ploy that came to be known as the Keyes Loop. The epitome of loyalty and bravery, Jacob Keyes had a diverse and unorthodox history of service within the UNSC Navy. Though eventually returning to combat, Keyes spent a number of years serving as an instructor at the Lunar OCS, Officer Candidate School, due to injuries sustained on the Meriwether Lewis. Before this, he even served as military escort for Catherine Halsey in a heavily classified scouting operation for Spartan 2 candidates.
Lovely. So he was involving in the stealing of the kids too.
Yeah, he helped kidnap the Master Chief as a child.
Isn't that glorious? Isn't it amazing how many of the heroes that I apparently grew up with in Xbox games and Halo turned out to be absolutely horrible war criminals? Yay!
Life finds a way.
Let's remember what fun times rhymes with.
War crimes, my friend.
Keyes was no stranger to naval combat.
And war
He
crimes.
had decades of experience. His narrow but brilliant victory in this skirmish would finally gain him fame and the rank of captain. Only hours later, however, the enemy returned, this time bringing immense invasion-scale numbers in the form of the Covenant's Second Fleet of Solemn Accord.
Lovely.
The Battle of Sigma Octantis IV had begun. Marines and Spartans struck the heart of the Covenant's planet-side invasion, while the UNSC Navy fought in orbit. The Covenant's specific goals for this colony were revealed when Spartans located a concentration of enemy forces at a museum in the city of Côte d'Azur. The aliens were transmitting data from a fossilized stone recovered by human colonists long ago. Far above the city, a Covenant vessel attempted to capture this data, but was waylaid by Keyes' Iroquois before it was acquired.
Okay.
The data was instead collected by the Iroquois' crew and, amazingly, what was left of the Second Fleet of Solemn Accord fled from the remaining UNSC forces.
Why? Is he going to get into that?
You know, I remember the part of the Fall of Reach where this takes place, but I don't quite remember what happened.
Okay.
The unexpected victory at Sigma Octantis IV came at a critical time in the war, but it would be weeks before the true implications were revealed. Hidden within the data the aliens had so desperately sought were the coordinates for an ancient weapon far beyond the power of anything the humans or the Covenant possessed.
Okay.
As well as a secret that would forever change the course of the war.
The Flood.
With only a few dozen colonies remaining, Oni believed it was a matter of months, if not weeks, before the Covenant arrived at Reach, and then Earth would be next on the list. To prevent this, Oni planned for Spartans to strike at the heart of the Covenant, abduct one of their prophets, and hold them hostage, hoping to force the enemy into a truce. This plan was called Operation Red Flag.
No matter how many times I see one of those things, the only thing I can remember is me jumping on it and, like, laughing my ass off while I punched it to death. Like, I can't get over that.
Over the course
Yes, indeed.
of the war, the Spartans had become legendary. From their actions were spun tales of valor and glory. They were icons of hope, constantly defying reason and logic, and gaining victory over innumerable threats. Among the Spartans, one had stood above the rest in renown and accomplishment. Master Chief Petty Officer John 117. He would become the central figure in the design of Red Flag, carrying its critical mission asset deep into enemy territory. Born on the rebellion-embroiled colony of Eridanus II in 2511, John was integrated into the Spartan II program at the age of 6.
You see, I had never heard up until now that John wasn't born on Earth. Ever.
Yeah, no. He was born on Eridanus too.
Well, there you go.
Oh.
While his training and all...
Whoop.
I've always said it Eridanus, but apparently it's Eridanus. Yeah, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Every single time they talk about the Spartan 2s, you get this guy looking back at you like, bitch, I'm not in the mood for whatever's through that fucking door. Every single time he's just looking back at you like, it's like, you want to run? It's like, I don't want to fucking be here right now.
Augmentation were not unique among his peers. He gained a reputation among them as a born leader, spearheading a number of operations at an impressively young age. Shortly after the war began, he rose to the rank of Master Chief Petty Officer, a title which would become synonymous with him. Prior to Red Flag,
him being a
John
leader
had fought
kind of took place after he got reprimanded for not doing leader things.
Yeah, well, what can you do?
in over 200 individual military engagements, both on the ground and in space. He had been awarded every single major medal in combat except for prisoner of war. Even among the legendary Spartans, he was without equal. For this reason, he was selected to be a vital component in the Red Flag operation.
I thought you'd be taller!
The chief would be given Cortana, an incredibly advanced AI construct capable of subverting and infiltrating Covenant systems. The information she possessed was crucial for humanity's victory, and the chief would be her protector. The fate of the war would rest on their shoulders. Thanks for watching. Stick your comments down below, and I look forward to what you have to say. And quick shout.
Okay, so that wasn't quite what I expected. It just gave us more back lore on, you know, like, I did learn a couple of things that I didn't know before, like where the Master Tree was from, especially, but I was expecting more in-depth about, you know, what happened when and where. Like a kind of a timeline of the war versus anything else. And I didn't quite get that out of this. But I am still glad I watched this because I learned things I didn't know before.
So yeah, as mentioned at the start of this video, this is essentially just Installation 00 reading straight off the pages of Halo Mythos, which is omnibus of lore. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, Halo doesn't really have a nitty-gritty timeline of every major battle.
Right. And that kind of sucks because it would be so much like, I really dig into that kind of stuff. I really, really like sink my teeth into that. So. Yeah,
no, it's... Then again, Halo's only been around for 20 years, where, I mean, 40K's been around since the 80s.
So have I, thanks. You saying I'm old?
And Star Wars been around since the 70s.
This is true.
Yeah, Halo isn't Not yet. It's not one of those things yet. Like the old EU Star Wars comics where you could trace the events of the Clone Wars week by week.
Right.
A few things to talk about in this. Operation Red Flag.
Right.
That was... By the year 2552, the UNSC was getting really, really desperate.
Mm-hmm.
And Oni in turn. So, Operation Red Flag was going to be the UNSC's attempt at suing for peace, essentially, by kidnapping the Prophet.
Ah, okay. So, yeah. Too bad I beat him to death in his chair.
So,
like, I just needed to slap some cuffs on him and put him in a rear naked choke. Instead, I beat the hell out of him in his chair. I suck, apparently. I got the fucking orders wrong, okay? I'm sorry.
Yeah, Red Flag got cancelled the moment Reach got glassed.
Oh. Well, that would do it.
See, the plan was, right, you know, in the game Halo Reach?
Right.
When you, as Noble Team is taking out the Long Night of Solace, the really big ship.
Yeah.
And you know how Oni apparently had withheld the information that small fleet was coming to Reach?
Yeah.
They withheld that information specifically because they suspected that a Prophet was on the Long Night of Solace, and because they wanted to use Operation Red Flag on that. But then, of course, because it's Oni, they didn't communicate this to anybody, and so Noble Team, with the help of the UNSC army, destroyed the Long Night of Solace before they could actually execute the plan.
Lovely. I am forever in awe of Oni as an organization, of how they managed to screw things up.
Could you imagine being that Oni officer who's either on the sensor reach or filing through the army reports to report to your boss that that Prophet ship that was inbound? Yeah, the army nuked it.
How did they nuke it? They didn't have any nukes. Oh, they used a slip space engine?
No, that just makes everything okay then.
Why the fuck did they use a slip space engine? Well, because they were desperate.
Well, you see, the Covenant was glassing the planet, and they thought they might as well use anything they could get their hands on, including a primate and at least 5 other forms of lesser life. I don't know. Hell.
They may have tried to recreate the Great Emu War against the Covenant using MOAs.
They may have done this. They could not get their hands on enough emus, so they just tried to do it whatever they can.
Red Flag, that was going to be the attempt to sue for peace by kidnapping a Covenant leader. And it was the mission where the Spartans upgraded their Mjolnir armor from Mark IV to Mark V.
Oh, okay.
And Mark V, the only functional difference between the two is Mark V has slightly less armor plating, but an energy shield. The first energy shield of its type.
Okay.
And it was the operation that Cortana, I'm not sure was created for, but it was definitely the first operation. It was the operation that she was slated to, be tested out with, and the operation where she would work in tandem with a Spartan by integrating directly into their suit thanks to that neural implant thing.
Fun times. Well, guys, that was the Siege of the Inner Colonies.
Well, hang on. I'm not...
excuse me, sorry. Go right ahead.
I'm not done yet. Yeah. So, if I remember correctly, it wasn't even a month. It might not have even been a few days where Red Flag was starting to be planned out and, done, that the massive fleet of Particular Justice arrived at Reach and completely destroyed it.
I love the fact that the fleet was called Particular Justice.
It is a kind of justice, and it is very particular.
Yes, it is.
So, yeah, the arrival of the fleet in particular, Justice completely scuppered red flag. But it's important to note, even if the Spartans had executed red flag completely flawlessly, the Covenant would not have in any way gone along with them suing for peace at all, ever.
Well, at that point, I'm guessing they were desperate, considering they were getting their shit ran at every available opportunity.
Yeah, no, the UNSC couldn't have known that the Covenant, even if they did kidnap a prophet, it wouldn't have worked at all.
It's like they get on a holovid and be like, "We have your leader." Everybody on the other side is like, "Well, bye, Bob." It's like, wait a minute, we have your leader. It's like, yeah, that's Bob. We wrote him off the second he disappeared.
By genociding their entire race, Bob.
Yeah, don't worry about it, Bob. You know, die well. See you on the other side of the journey. Shit!
So, yeah, one more thing. Because you want a timeline of events, somewhat, the siege of the inner colonies began after the destruction of Jericho 7. Which is, well, it's considered to have begun after the destruction of Jericho 7. I'm not quite sure the in-universe reasoning, but the point being, the war went from 2525 to 2552. The war began in 2525. The siege of the inner colonies began after Jericho 7 in 2535.
So the war had already been going on for 10 years prior to this.
Yes. And the thing is, it is confirmed in two different places in the lore that by 2535, after the destruction of Jericho 7, the vast majority of the outer colonies were destroyed. That's 800 planets. So, and in the places where it's confirmed, it's mentioned in passing. So, yeah, I'm not sure where Installation, because Installation 00 mentions that humanity only had a few dozen inner colonies left. I don't know where he's getting that from. It might be in the Mythos book, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was true.
So
they weren't just getting their shit ran.
I just ran for you, boss.
We were on full-on rectal prolapse at that point. Jeez.
Yeah, boss.
Yo.
27 years, 23 billion casualties. That is 2.3 million casualties per day.
That being for the inner
27
sieges.
Yeah, for the UNSC.
And that's only the siege of the inner colonies. Who the hell knows?
They were sitting. They were definitely like, how do you keep that from everybody? It's like, hey, I just tried to reach my cousin on Ballpin 5. I haven't heard from him in like 10 years. Like,
hey, honey, why is Ballpin 5 removed from the map?
We never colonized that. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Friendly neighborhood Oni officer comes by and says, "What are you talking about? There was never a colony on that planet."
Like, we were talking about it, but we abandoned the thought. We're sure half your extended family just ran off. Don't worry.
They were probably filthy fucking innies anyway.
This is true. You know? Why don't you just go back to what you were doing? Yeah, just go back. 800 planets?
the vast majority of them may be like
God, just why?
Maybe anywhere from 50 to 100 planets surviving. But yeah,
no, we're not playing. Like, no, we're not playing anymore. I don't want to play any games. Like, let's just tell everybody we're boned. It's over.
Damn near 800 planets lost in 10 years.
Oh my God! You see, this is the one thing I like about it, the more I learn about Halo is the fact that I have often said, and I just don't get me wrong, I like it. I like alien invasion movies where humanity fights off the aliens, but I keep on saying the second humanity if we ever start exploring the galaxy and stuff like that, and we run into an alien species that doesn't particularly like us, we are beyond boned. It's over. It's just logistically over. Like, it's fucking done. Because it's like, oh look, a flea. I will now proceed to flick. And that's what was happening to the UNSC. Oh no. It's like, how do you hide? It's like that. It's like, you have to change school books. Required reading lists.
Hey, on the plus side, the education budget has never been higher funding all those books.
No. Imagine you go to school one year and it's like, humanity reached out and we settled on Medusa 5. Never mind. That was just a lie. That was propaganda. We didn't really lie to you. We just put it on popsicles so you would buy war bonds. What are war bonds? Don't worry about it. It's an acronym. It stands for We Are Ready. Just no. Oh God, I'm an idiot.
And you know what the real fucky thing is?
Go for it.
It is all but confirmed that humanity and the task of exterminating humanity wasn't even the Covenant's top priority until the discovery of Earth.
Why? They were doing this in their spare time?
Pretty much. It was like it's heavily implied that the three hierarchs.
Oh my God.
The three hierarchs were pushing really, really hard to exterminate humanity, but the rest of the Covenant was kind of iffy about it all the way up until Halo was discovered.
Oh my God. So legitimately that war had been going on for 10 years and humanity was fighting tooth and nail, and the Covenant every once in a while would reach down to scratch its ass and pop a planet. Lovely.
It's like the vast majority of Covenant forces up until about halfway through the inner colony sieges, maybe. The vast majority of them would be like the full-on fanatics for the hierarchs and or quote-unquote flagellants who had debts to pay off. So they paid it off through service in the military. But yeah, no.
And then they find Halo and all of a sudden it's like, well, you drop the soap, it's on. Oh God, that makes it even worse. Oh God, I wish they really would expand the lore of this. This would be so great. This would be so great because I love, where it's the turnaround of the war was just simply because the Covenant blew up internally, and that was it. That, like, there was no great human sacrifice. There was no impressive anything. In reality, the only thing, and this is going to sound kind of weird, but at the same time it's true. The only thing John 117 really did was make the Covenant pause and blink for like a quarter second. Until he destroyed High Charity.
I have said before that were it not for High Charity getting taken over by the Flood, and were it not for the Great Schism, humanity would be extinct.
Yeah,
period.
That doesn't surprise me. All right. We good?
One tiny thing.
Go for it.
I do love how in this video, in the spiel about the Spartans,
yeah,
Installation00 says that their accomplishments defied logic. And subtle reference to plot armor there, but you know.
Yeah. Subtle, but it's there. All right. Warsmith, you got anything?
No, nothing new to add.
All right. Archo, you good?
Yep.
All right. So, now I can go into my outro without getting yelled at by Archo. Makes me sad inside. Anyhow, so that was the Siege of the Inner Colonies, and it's like I said, I really, really wish there would be more of a timeline kind of based thing, like a video or something like that I could actually look at, but that's neither here nor there. This was still good. I still learned some stuff from this, and kudos to Installation00 for putting this together. And I did catch that subtle reference to plot armor because, holy crap. In any case, like and subscribe if you guys haven't already. I'm going to be putting all of Installation00's links in the description down below. And including my own, including my Patreon if you guys would like to support the channel. And, join the Discord. Come in. Terrify me with things that I should not witness. What?
The water's fine.
No, it's just not fine.
We have all kinds of people here.
We have very strange people here. And the kids aren't all right. I'll catch you guys next time. On behalf of myself and Archo.
Bye-bye.
And the Warsmith.
We'll be seeing you.
We're in your walls. No, technically we are because we're in your internet. Bye. And I didn't hit the button. I'm such a boomer!